I want you to imagine something. You're 5 years old. It's December 23rd, and someone just told you that Santa Claus is coming in 2 days. Now think about what happens inside your body when you hear that. You don't question it. You don't wonder if Santa is real. You don't go on Reddit and read threads about whether the North Pole has a viable supply chain. You just feel it. Your whole body lights up. Your stomach gets that fluttery thing. You start behaving differently. You clean your room without being asked. You're nicer to your little brother. You go to bed early, not because someone forced you, but because sleeping means tomorrow comes faster, which means Santa comes faster. You have completely restructured your behavior around something that hasn't happened yet. And you did it effortlessly, without a single affirmation, without scripting, without listening to a subliminal for 8 hours. You just believed it. That feeling, that full body knowing that something is coming and there's nothing to worry about, that is the entire foundation of everything Neville Goddard ever taught. Every technique he created is just a different doorway into that exact state. The problem is that somewhere between age 5 and age 25, you forgot how to walk through the door. You replaced feeling with thinking. You replaced knowing with hoping. And hoping is the most dangerous word in manifestation, because hope means you don't have it yet. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to take every major technique Neville Goddard ever taught and explain each one as if you were 5 years old. No jargon, no overcomplication, no spiritual vocabulary that sounds impressive but leaves you confused. Because here's what I've figured out after years of studying this man's work. The techniques are embarrassingly simple. The reason people struggle isn't because the methods are hard. It's because teachers make them sound hard so they can sell you a course on how to do them properly. Neville never sold a course in his life. He gave free lectures. He used plain language. He told stories. And the people who listened to him manifested things that would make your jaw hit the floor. Not because they were gifted, because they understood something simple, and they actually did it. Let's start with the most famous one, SATS, State Akin to Sleep. If you've been in this community for more than a week, someone has told you about SATS, and they probably made it sound like some advanced meditation practice that requires perfect mental discipline and 45 minutes of uninterrupted focus. Here's SATS explained like you're 5. You know when you're lying in bed at night and you're not quite asleep, but you're not really awake either? Your eyes are heavy. Your body feels like it's sinking into the mattress. And your thoughts start getting kind of dreamy and weird, like you're halfway into a movie your brain is making up? That's the state. That's it. That's the entire mystical secret of SATS. You're just using that drowsy window, the 2 or 3 minutes before you fall asleep, to imagine one specific thing as if it already happened. Not watching it like a movie on a screen, experiencing it. The way a 5-year-old experiences a daydream. When a 5-year-old pretends to be a superhero, he doesn't stand there thinking about being a superhero. He is the superhero. He feels the cape. He hears the wind. He's flying. That level of immersion is what you're going for in SATS. Pick one tiny scene that would happen after your wish came true. Not the wish itself, after it. If you want your SP back, you don't imagine the moment they text you. You imagine lying on the couch 3 months later, their head on your shoulder, watching something boring on TV, and feeling completely at peace because this is just normal life now. If you want more money, you don't imagine checking your bank account. You imagine the quiet confidence of walking through a grocery store and putting things in the cart without looking at prices. The scene should be short, 5 to 10 seconds, and you loop it over and over as you fall asleep. That's SATS. A 5-year-old could do this. A 5-year-old does do this every single night when they imagine Christmas morning. The only reason adults struggle is because they've been trained to monitor their thoughts instead of surrendering to them. Next technique, revision. This one is probably the most underrated tool Neville ever gave us, and almost nobody uses it consistently. Here's revision explained like you're 5. You know when something bad happens during the day, maybe a kid at school was mean to you, and then at night, your mom or dad sits on the edge of your bed and says, "Tell me about your day," and you tell them the bad part. And they say, "Well, what if it happened differently? What if instead of being mean, that kid said something nice?" And you lie there and imagine the nicer version. And somehow, weirdly, you feel better. Not because reality changed, because the story you told yourself about what happened changed, and the feeling changed with it. That's revision. Every night before sleep, you take any event from the day that didn't go the way you wanted, and you replay it in your imagination the way you wish it had gone. Your boss said something dismissive in a meeting? Replay it. Except, this time he says something encouraging. Your SP left you on red? Replay it. Except this time, they responded with warmth and enthusiasm. And you don't just think about the better version, you feel it as if that's what actually happened. Now here's why this works, and this is the part that sounds weird until you try it. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. This isn't spiritual theory, this is neuroscience. Brain imaging studies have shown that the same neural pathways fire whether you physically experience something or vividly imagine it. Your subconscious stores both with equal weight. So when you revise an event, you're not playing pretend. You're overwriting the emotional record. You're telling your subconscious that the version where you were rejected never happened. The version where you were accepted is what's real. And your subconscious adjusts your assumptions accordingly. Over time, this rewrites your entire self-concept from the ground up. It's like editing your own autobiography one page at a time. Most people only use SATs for big manifestations. But revision is what you use every single day to clean up the small stuff that would otherwise pile up and reinforce old assumptions. 5-year-olds do this naturally. They have a bad experience, they cry for 10 minutes, and then they're completely fine because they haven't learned to hold grudges against reality yet. Revision is just the adult version of that natural emotional reset. Third technique, living in the end. This is the one people overcomplicate more than any other. Living in the end explained like you're 5. Remember Christmas Eve again. The presents aren't open yet. Santa hasn't come yet. Technically, nothing has happened. But are you worried? No. Are you stressed about whether it's going to happen? No. You're already excited. You're already acting like someone who's about to have the best morning of their life. You're living in the end. Not because you're delusional, because you have absolute certainty about what's coming. Living in the end doesn't mean you walk around pretending you're a millionaire when your rent is overdue. It doesn't mean you text your SP acting like you're together when they haven't spoken to you in months. It means you carry the internal feeling of someone whose desire is a settled fact. It's an emotional posture, not a physical performance. Think about it this way. If you ordered something online and the tracking number showed it was on the truck for delivery, would you pace around your front door in a panic wondering if it's going to arrive? No. You'd go about your day with a quiet background certainty that it's handled. That's living in the end. You placed your order through imagination. The tracking says it's on the way. Now go live your life. Stop refreshing the page. Fourth technique, the Lullaby Method. This one is so simple it almost feels like cheating. Lullaby Method explained like you're 5. You know how when you were really little and you couldn't sleep, your mom might have whispered the same thing to you over and over? Something like, you're safe, you're loved, everything's okay. And those words would blend into the drowsiness until you couldn't tell if she was still talking or if the words were just inside your own head now. That's the Lullaby Method. You pick one short phrase, not a paragraph, not a monologue, one phrase. Something like, isn't it wonderful, or it's already done, or thank you. And as you're falling asleep, in that same drowsy SATS window, you just repeat it mentally, over and over, gently. Not like you're trying to convince yourself, like you're reminding yourself of something you already know. The rhythm of the repetition combined with the drowsy state lets the phrase slip past your conscious mind directly into your subconscious. You're not affirming, you're lulling yourself into an assumption. That's why it's called the Lullaby Method. It's gentle, it's repetitive, and it works because you're not fighting anything. You're just drifting into the feeling the words carry. Fifth technique, inner conversation. This one changed my understanding of manifestation completely when I first learned it. Inner conversation explained like you're 5. You know how 5-year-olds play with action figures or dolls? They make up conversations between them. And the funny thing is, the kid doesn't script the conversation in advance. They just become both characters. One figure says something, the other responds, and the kid is fully immersed in a conversation that isn't real, but feels completely alive. Inner conversation is that. Except the characters are you and the person your manifestation involves. If you want your SP back, you imagine a conversation between you and a friend where the friend says, I can't believe you two are back together, and you respond with, I know. Honestly, it happened so naturally. If you want a promotion, you imagine a conversation with your brother where he says, wait, they made you the director? And you say, yeah, honestly, I'm still getting used to it. The key is that the conversation implies it already happened. It's past tense. It's casual. It's the kind of conversation you'd have after the exciting news has become normal, and you feel the naturalness of it, the satisfaction, the calm. Neville said that your inner conversations are the cause of the circumstances in your life, not one of the causes, the cause. What you mentally say to yourself about yourself all day long is constantly instructing your subconscious about what assumptions to hold. Most people's inner conversation is a non-stop loop of worry, doubt, and worst-case scenarios. They're essentially manifesting everything they don't want by having vivid internal conversations about everything going wrong. This technique just flips that. Instead of letting your inner dialogue run on autopilot, you deliberately choose a conversation that reflects the reality you want, and you repeat it until it feels natural. Sixth technique, the ladder experiment. This is where most people should start, and almost nobody does. Ladder experiment explained like you're 5. A teacher gives you a dare. She says, tonight before you go to sleep, I want you to imagine climbing a ladder. See your hands on the rungs. Feel yourself going up step by step. Do this for 3 nights. But during the day, I want you to tell yourself, I will not climb a ladder. That's it. Just do both. Imagine climbing at night, deny it during the day, and then see what happens. What happens, consistently, with bizarre reliability, is that within a few days, people find themselves climbing a ladder. Someone asks them to help hang Christmas lights. A job requires them to go up to a high shelf. They end up at a playground with a kid, and there's a ladder right there. The 3D arranges circumstances to match the assumption they built during the drowsy state, even though their conscious mind was actively denying it. This experiment is Neville's proof of concept. He designed it so you could see for yourself that imagination creates reality. And he chose a ladder specifically because nobody has emotional resistance to climbing a ladder. You don't want it, you don't fear it, you don't have childhood trauma about ladders. It's emotionally neutral, which means your subconscious has no reason to block it. And when it works, you realize something important. If your subconscious can manifest a ladder with 0 effort, it can manifest anything. The only difference between a ladder and your SP, or your dream job, is the emotional charge you've attached to it. The ladder works instantly because you don't care. The big stuff takes longer because you care too much, which means you're constantly checking, constantly doubting, constantly telling your subconscious it hasn't happened yet. And that brings me to the most important thing I can tell you about all 6 of these techniques. They all do the same thing. Every single one of them is just a different method for getting the same feeling into your subconscious mind. SATS uses the drowsy state to bypass your critical faculty. Revision rewrites emotional memories to shift your baseline assumptions. Living in the end is carrying the feeling throughout your waking day. The Lullaby Method uses repetition in the drowsy state to install a single compressed belief. Inner conversation reprograms the mental dialogue that runs your assumptions on autopilot. And the ladder experiment proves the whole thing works, so you stop doubting the mechanism. You don't need all 6. You need the one that feels most natural to you. Some people are visual. SATS will be their thing. Some people are verbal. Inner conversation and the Lullaby Method will click. Some people are analytical. Revision will make the most sense because it's structured and logical. The technique doesn't matter as much as the state it produces. If you can get to that Christmas Eve feeling, that deep calm knowing that what you want is already done, it doesn't matter which door you use to get there. The reason a 5-year-old manifests effortlessly is not because they know any of these techniques. It's because they haven't built the walls that these techniques are designed to get around. They don't have a critical faculty rejecting new beliefs. They don't have decades of stored evidence contradicting their desires. They don't have an inner conversation running doom scenarios all day. They just feel it, and it becomes real. Every technique Neville Goddard ever taught is just reverse engineering that childlike state in an adult mind. That's it. That's the whole secret. Not complicated, not mystical. Just remembering how to feel something as real before the world confirms it. You used to do this every single night before Christmas. You just forgot. If this made something click for you today, if one of those techniques suddenly makes sense in a way it didn't before, subscribe. I break these concepts down every single week. Drop a comment and tell me which technique you've been overcomplicating, because I guarantee at least one of them just went from confusing to obvious. And if you know someone who's been stuck in this community for months, drowning in jargon and getting nowhere, send them this video. Sometimes all someone needs is for it to be explained like they're 5. And now, it has been.